Welcome back to Central Tabletop Gaming. I am your host, Jeremy Kelly, and today we will be talking about the Captain General of the Adeptus Custodes. Now, I am going to go ahead and say this. I cannot pronounce his first name to save my life, so here it is. Instead, we will simply call him Valoris, since I actually can pronounce his last name. Now, the model for him is relatively easy to assemble, as most of it is pre-assembled to begin with. For example, the cape is only disattached right here, but the pauldron takes care of most of the rest. Little additions, such as the shield pieces on his side, and this little shield right here, were just simply easy to glue on. Things like the lion over his shoulder were simply easy to attach. This is a relatively easy model to assemble, and actually one of the easiest models I've ever had the chance to assemble. But today we're going to be covering the model display of what is on him, things to look for, things to make him look a little bit nicer. And again, there's only one part that is missing. His face is not painted. Sadly, the day I ran out of red paint for the other Custodes, I also ran out of the skin texture paint, since I forgot to close the bottle properly. So, mistakes were made. But little things you can add to this guy. Or, sorry, let's go over what he has first. So, of course, he's got this nice little feather additions. This is the Watcher's Axe, one of my favorite looking axes in. Anyone who knows me knows I am not a fan of the axe as a weapon. I consider it to be obsolete to the sword. It just doesn't work for me. But we'll go over that rant a different time if you guys want. So, another thing I really love is the white lion here. Now, I can't find the actual lore on GW or in the book about where this came from. But I do know one of my favorite armies in Warhammer Fantasy is the High Elves, which have a group called the White Lions, which also wear pelts of white lions, hence their name. And seeing this in the Warhammer 40k lore made me extremely happy. So I don't know if that was done on purpose to represent the High Elves. I kind of hope it is, because that is just awesome by all means. You'll also notice that he does have this lovely iron halo-like design back here, a cape, and it's hard to tell. Hopefully you can see that there is the Aquila down here. This is the first time I haven't went out of my way to paint one of those. I don't think it would look good being painted, so I skipped that. But little things you can add in now. Oh, and also, I know it's hard to see. You'll notice what looks like a sword back there. That is his Miscordia. And again, just seeing that in the position where it's at just makes it look that much nicer. Actually, it looks like it's a secondary weapon instead of his primary. But let's go over things to make him nicer. Now, the first thing I did was paint all his armor gold. That's an easy thing for anyone to do. Simple, sleek, and follows the concept of the Adeptus Custodes, where their armor is painted in gold. Next, I took all the cloth and painted it a gentle shade of red. This is acrylic paint on the cloth, but the gold paint itself is actually from my car model paints. This is to give that symbolism between what is metal, what is not, and that's why the acrylic is done so. Oops. You'll also notice that the axe here is currently just painted white. That's because my silver paint was having issues sticking. It's the only thing I have to add in. So, let's take a closer look here. Here you'll notice little etches of the swirl designs. I colored it over with a very fine point Sharpie. Here, and even on the gun grip, weapon grip, I also did it there because it gave that extra little pop. Even the eyes, even though I don't know if you can tell, are done on the Aquila. The top of the gun barrel And again, all the little etchings, even the eyes on the lion were done just because I thought it would look a little better than having it just plain white. I do plan on getting, when I get my skin colored paint, also doing the nose to look like it's still pinkish. Also, another thing, I don't know what to do with this. I did just do a basic layer of white paint. It does look like he has a little slab underneath his foot. If I was a little smarter and was thinking about it at the time, I would recommend just writing something there, giving it some kind of symbolism if you're talented in that department. Just for a little extra flair. Something that I kind of regret not doing now. But you'll notice that there are a bunch of little areas you can add that little extra pop to and make him come alive as a commander. Also, again, with the fine point Sharpie, I would highly recommend doing his eyes. But this is actually one of my favorite models. I would actually say it's one of my top 5 models I've ever painted. And honestly, it's one of my favorite to display in my army. This is something that anyone playing the Adeptus Custodes, I highly recommend. We'll go over a little bit more about putting armies together some other time. But I am going to warn people. You'll notice in my Adeptus Custodes box set model review, his hand was missing. This is easily knocked off. I do recommend being very careful and putting him in a very almost lonesome container. That is easy to knock around. I use really durable model display glue and that still comes off. So just be careful. Another thing I would recommend, if you don't choose to do the white lion, I would recommend trying to keep the feathers coordinated with the lion's fur. But that's my personal taste. I did debate doing red since he didn't have the little tassel on his helmet, since he obviously doesn't wear a helmet. Just for that little aesthetic flair, you may do those in that color. But keep in mind, just go all out. And this is the first time I've brought it up, but that fine point Sharpie, doing that little extras here, I've had so many people just love that look. So anyone who's a big 40k player, please, please, please use that to your advantage. And it doesn't bleed very much, and it's very easy to fix it when it does bleed. Just keep that in mind whenever you're doing your models. It would be a big aesthetic help to everyone. But I'm going to quit this long-winded debate over what you should do. So if you liked this video, found it helpful, please like and subscribe. And feel free to comment below if you think that I should do something to the model, like actually paint that. Tell me, you know, I mean, I'm always open for advice. But this is Jeremy Kelly from Central Tabletop Gaming, and I will see you all in the next video.